Welcome to WebStylePress. We have shared videos about creating custom radio button designs by using only CSS and by using JavaScript already. This is advanced tutorial that makes use of CSS and JavaScript to create custom radio button design that you are going to see in this example is simple, but functionality is what I want you to keep your focus at. This example is different because it has separate label and input field. If we can have input inside label, then our job gets easier. Why? Because clicking at label will automatically select or check or click at the input radio button, but here we have them separate. If you work with Shopify or WordPress, you will have to use plugins. Plugins inject code for radio buttons that have separate label and input fields. Input is not inside a label in this case. This technique covers that. These are two radio input groups. Let me refresh. These are already checked from start. So this is wrapper for a radio. It has got a label that is separate, and outside label it has got input that has got checked attribute, and this one radio button has got a radio class and checked class. We have got radio class and checked class, but input has got no checked attribute, but here it is. So if I click here, this checked class gets swapped. And for original radio buttons, here are these. You can see those in action as well. Refresh, show hidden radio buttons again, and these are also checked. This is what we are going to create. And at the end, you can style your label as you like. So label is styled. Label has got a before pseudo element that has got a check mark, and label has got different color, position, and display block. So this is the whole story. This is what we will build. Original input radio buttons are hidden, as I have mentioned. We will design our own radio buttons. This is our HTML code. I have got this custom.css file linked with it. For this I am using Sass, and then I have got a container. I am using Bootstrap for basic styling. We have got raw, we have got two columns, we have got jQuery at the end, and our last script is custom.js. Custom.js file is this one, and it's got document.ready. We have got a function call inside it that is custom radio, and this custom radio, we will write the logic for custom radio inside this area here. This is one block for our radio buttons, one group. It's got this wrapper with radios class. Then it has got this block with radio class and checked class, and then we have got this radio, we have got this radio. Inside this div, we have got label separately and input separately. And then second group is here. It's also has got same radios wrapper class, and it's got three radio buttons. Div is radio with checked class, And then inside radio we have got label, input. These input have got this name option, and this radio button group has got name option 2, option 2, option 2. This same name makes them a group, and this group is inside radios. This group is inside radios class. Each radio is inside a div with class radio, and this checked class with radio will determine whether this radio button is checked or not. We are not using values with input because we don't need them here. If we want any radio button checked, it should have an attribute checked with it. Part of our functionality is to have an additional class named as checked. If we will have a class checked with div containing class radio, it will show checked state, and we will have to add checked attribute in its input element that is inside it. So if this block of code with class radio has got checked class, then this area will be checked and this input will be checked. Otherwise it will be unchecked. For the time being, I am hiding this second block. And here is the output. We have got a radio button group, and as you can see, label is separate and input is separate. For our label, let's style it a bit. Display block, cursor pointer, font size 22 pixels and font weight bold. Save, refresh. Let's hide these generic radio buttons. Input, radio input, display none. So now those are hidden. Now we will design checked state for our radio button. So if div with class radio, if that div will have class checked, we have got a label inside it. We want that label to have styling like this. Like its color should be orange, position relative, and it should be displayed block. And for this labels before pseudo element, we are using content property and we are using a check mark. This is the CSS code for check mark, this kind of check mark. And then its position is absolute, and we are using left and top to position it. Font size 26 pixels, color orange. We will just save it. This is the checked state, our custom checked state for the radio button. Refresh, and now this is checked. This is checked because it had a class checked. If I remove it, it will be gone. So this is checked by default, but not its input. Input is unchecked still. So we will have to check that if this checked class is present, then this input should also be checked. So all we have to do is to toggle this checked class with radio, and then we'll have to take care of input inside that. CSS is done, but work is still remaining. This is our custom.js file. And inside we have got when DOM is ready, fire this function. And logic for the function will be here. If we have one group of radio buttons, then we will write our logic like this. Radio label click function. So label will receive click that is inside radio. This is label. This will receive click that is inside radio, and we will toggle class here. First, we will remove checked class from all divs with radio class. So get all divs with radio class. And then remove class checked. Also remove checked attribute from all actual radio buttons. This radio find input. Dot find input. Remove class, remove attribute. This is attribute basically. Checked. So we removed class checked, and from inputs we removed attribute that is checked. Remove checked class and attribute. Add class and attribute. So add click of this label, we will find closest div and then add class checked to it. So now we will use this keyword, this dot closest radio. Click happened here at label, and here is the label this, and its closest is radio. Click happened here, its closest radio, and toggle this class dot add class checked. We did not use toggle here because we removed all checked classes from all radios, and we already have removed attribute checked from input, from checked input. So here by using this keyword, by getting this, we are getting its closest element, that is radio. We are going backwards, then we are applying, we are adding class checked to it, and then we will find relevant radio input and add checked attribute to it. So again this dot closest radio, and now we will find something. Find, we have to find input inside this radio. We have to find this input that is inside this radio, and then add attribute. That will be attribute checked, checked. Save, refresh, and now our logic is working. If I click here, you can see this class is being toggled. Add radio checked. This checked class is being toggled. And see, this attribute is also being changed. Let me show you. Right? Refresh. So this is checked. So our checked state is here, design is here, but actual radio button is not checked. We have to cater that yet. So we covered click scenario here. Label click, check for checked radio buttons from start. And for that we'll have to iterate through all radio buttons. We will check if any radio button is checked. That means it has class checked. This is our one radio button. Well, actual radio button is this one, but we have got this piece, and this is the radio class. If this radio class has got checked class, it means that it is checked, and it should have an attribute checked as well. So if it has got checked class, then add checked attribute to input inside it. That's what we have to do. So we will take each div containing radio class. Radio.each function now if this dot has class checked, so for each radio, if it has got a checked class, then what should happen? We will add attribute checked for input radio inside that. So this means this element. This dot find, we are finding input inside this radio, and then attribute checked, or we can use prop instead of this attribute, and this will be true then in this scenario. Both will work. Save. So this is the scenario that will work for this thing. Refresh. Now if I display it, you can see it is checked by default. Okay, so this is done. Now this click scenario, it is all right for one group of radio buttons. Like if there is one group, it will work. But if I have another group, radio button group here, you see name option 2, option 2, option 2, and here for this group name was option. So this is one group, and now we have got a second group. And here let's use checked class for the second radio button. Save and refresh, and now this is checked, this is checked, and you see if I click at any radio, the other group gets disturbed. So this logic will work for a single radio button group at a single page, but not for multiple groups of radio buttons at same page with the same classes. Our goal is to create a function for multiple radio groups. So we will have to modify this function a little bit. I will comment this code and paste it. Again, we'll modify it and we will enhance it. So radio label click function. We have to do two things in here. First one, remove checked classes and attribute, and then we will add class and attribute. So here label was clicked. Now get its closest radio group, remove checked class and checked attribute from inner div and radio button. So here will be some addition. We will use this keyword here, this label dot closest dot find. Well, we are finding this radio, and here closest, in the closest we have got radios class for the group. You see, this is a group. Inside it we have got inputs or radio buttons, and this group has a unique class radios. Inside we've got this radio, and here we have got this radios. Label was clicked, so this keyword holds this element now. So it's closest radios, and then find inside this radio, and then remove checked class. And here also we will use this closest radios, find dot radio input and remove attribute checked, and this will remain same because it is for the specific element that was clicked. We don't need to target any group. In this scenario we are just adding class and adding attribute to the block that was actually clicked. But here, to remove class and attribute, we needed to check which radio button group we are talking about. So hopefully now it will work. Let me save it, refresh. So these two are checked by default, and now these are working. Refresh. These are working independently now. No conflict. So these dot closest dot find and this keyword, these are very important things, and these are very useful. So now our example is ready. You can design any radio button by using this technique. All you have to do is to style this label. You can style this label, and actual radio button is hidden anyways. Alright, like, share and subscribe. Press bell icon, stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video.